Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me this week is my own little Adeptus Cerritus. It's Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hello, friends.
He's so salty.
There's an inside joke hiding in the midst of that.
Other than me calling you my battle sister.
Yes.
Absolutely. As you can see, also joining us this week, it's Brad and Andrea, Rhellion and Luckysixes. How you doing? Welcome back to the show. We're glad to have you.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure to have legends of the Twitterverse, titans of the Twitterverse on our show. Absolutely. So this week we're going to talk about new armies for Age of Sigmar. We're going to look at this from a couple different angles. Christmas is coming. Santa is going to be, I'm sure, filling trees with or under trees. I think in some countries they put it on the tree. I don't know. But anyways, doesn't matter. With lots of little plastic dollies. And so we're going to talk about maybe some of the best avenues for collection today. But first, of course, we're going to go to the news. Tom, what do we got?
Yeah, some interesting things dropped this week. And somewhat unrelated to AOS news, the somewhat is the third round of made to order minis are here. And bundled in with them is a new 40K Sisters of Battle mini. Vince, do you have the photos on that?
Oh, we're sharing. Badoosh. So there's some strong opinions in the show right now about this. What I'm showing here is the John Blanche art from like 91 or whatever. That is this is the cover of the Codex Sisters of Battle. Now, well, let's go round robin here. What do you think of this incredibly classic, beautiful, amazing, stunning piece of art from a true master? Tom, what do you think of it?
Looks like a piece of 90s art. It looks like, but I have a bunch of paperback books on my shelf, and it looks like all of those pieces of art were
sure
black and white. There's like 4 color photos.
Brad, Andrea, what are your feelings on this? Brad, I know you've got some opinions on this.
I agree with Tom. I'm not a fan. I can appreciate the art, but I guess my personal stance is no.
There you go. That's okay. Andrea, what about you?
She just looks uncomfortable. That is not a natural leg position. Even if you're like power stancing, that is like over Captain Morgan. That's a little bit too much for me, especially in power heels.
She is in power heels. Yes, indeed. She is she is hipster Captain Morgan here. She was doing it before it was cool.
I will say this. Do you know who is doing a dance right now? Is the TGG2 people.
Sure.
Who designed their minis all with power heels, and then everybody like revolted in the comment section about like, I don't want my Sisters of Battle with heels. This is ridiculous. And then the first GW mini that gets released in 30 years has heels.
And there she is. There's the actual mini. Yes, that's been referenced. She's a pretty faithful recreation of the picture, right down to some unfortunate fashion choices.
Yeah, I think that's worse. I mean, I do.
Spit and truth.
It has been getting some polarizing reactions from all the sites I've seen it. This conversation is not uncommon across the internet right now.
So here's the deal. It looks like a traditional Sisters of Battle.
Yes.
Like it looks like it could have rolled off the line in 92.
I don't disagree.
Right? I mean, so it's going to look right in place in proportion to everything with the other metal minis that are going to be floating around in a Sisters of Battle army. That's not a problem necessarily. It's just that aesthetic. It's not the newer, sleeker stuff that we see rolling off of GW's lines now.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll give full credit to the heavy metal artist that painted this, because if you look at the two images, they really did do a great job of painting this to capture the image quite exactly, all the way down to even the color and the reflection of her boots, which I thought was pretty interesting. But you mentioned the made to order. There we go. That's what's coming back. So if you're looking for other old members of the Ecclesiastes or stuff like that, you're good to go. What I thought was interesting about this is a couple of these are very very AOSable. Namely, like these two
The
right
Pope.
here. Yeah, the Pope.
Yeah, Pope.
Exactly. That'd be a great warrior priest or Grand Theogenist Volkmar or something like that.
Yeah, the special character on top of the war altar.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there's still no AOS. I mean, where's our TK medals? That's what I want to know. Where are they at? GW, roll them off the line. Let's see them. Where's those Tomb Kings? Nefrata.
You're waiting
not
for the
Nefrata,
great
Kalita.
Shabti return. That's what it is.
Yeah, the great Shabti return, in which Vince drops another $600.
I don't know about that. I'm at like 27 right now, so I'm probably good.
I just want to get a Necrosphinx for less than $300.
We'll talk after the show. So,
Yep. There's a couple of them back there.
Yes, I may be able to help you out.
I don't even need one, but I want to get one.
Sure. So I think this was your next story,
yes,
Tom.
Yes,
right?
That's my next story. So another rumor mill. This, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. To me, this is clearly Tzeentch. Like, this looks like the Silver Tower aesthetic.
All right. As usual, when we have these drop, we put the guests on the spot. Andrea, what is this thing?
I'm gonna go something with either like a new basing or something on a new mat, a new game mat. They have a corn one, so having a Tzeentch setup would be pretty cool.
All right. Okay, that's different. I haven't heard the idea of a new mat yet. That's all right. I could see that because we don't know what scale this is at. That's a good point. All right, Brad, what's your vote? What's your guess?
That looks like it could be a close-up of a shield or part of a disc of Tzeentch.
I think that's where my money is, the disc of Tzeentch.
The symmetrical character of it, the fact that the ridges look like beaks and you can see the paint lines, like the edging.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is printed. I don't think this is printed. I think this is a model that's been painted.
The four symbols look like eyes.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good catch. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Yep.
And you have 8 points on the beaks.
Right.
So this is probably, I think we're actually on the underside of a disc.
So is it powered by souls? Because there's clearly a face in here. Right?
Yes.
The only problem with it being the underside is how does it mount to the base?
That's the great question. No, I think that's a legitimate question.
Is that this?
And that might be that hole. Is that hole is your clear flight stick.
So maybe like the mini's leaning back on the disc and this is actually the backside, so the center of weight is actually here.
Maybe. Or maybe they wanted to do like an asymmetrical mounting.
Yeah.
To a lot for some variations. Because we also don't know what the basing looks like. Like this could be part of a larger kit with actually like terrain basing or something.
It's a good point.
Or my third guess, it could actually be terrain. Maybe
like
some new chaos terrain.
Sure. I could totally see this being a zoom in on some piece of chaos terrain or something like Tzeentch terrain. Like I hear you, Tom. Yeah. And I think like my strong feeling is disc, but that almost seems too obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like a piece of Tzeentch terrain. This could be some smaller bit of it.
I think this is a hyper zoom in. Okay.
I agree, but I'm just saying like this could be
it could be terrain. It could be terrain, but I think it is a terrain, and the reason why is because of the paint strokes, how large the paint strokes are.
Yeah. This I do not envy the poor painter that has to do the piece that's going to get spoiled for the rumor engine, who has to then look at all his work at this hyper close up and be like, oh
no. Yeah, poor guy. Those faces could probably use a couple more washes. Anyways,
good lord, get out of here. Get out of here.
So so that is the rumors. This is the new rumor engine that dropped. Back to what we knew were coming were the battle forces, which are the new boxes, the grand starters that came with their own battalion rules. The battalion rules for the Sylvaneth dropped, and it allows like an off-turn charge, or not off-turn, it just like a unusual. I think it's like maybe during the hero phase you can attempt to charge or whatever for somebody that's already been wounded, I think was the rule.
I don't even think it was that good. I think it was just like a reroll of a charge, wasn't it?
I thought it was a hero phase charge. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It wasn't real strong. I mean, it wasn't weak, but it wasn't stellar.
Sure.
There were no points to be found on the sheet, so they're probably gonna have to release that digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no points on the sheet. We still don't know what the Iron Jaws box is, which is arguably the only one that's competitive. Just for like the models that they've included, stuff that somebody's going to field everything that's in there likely. We don't know what that is yet. We don't know what that battalion does with the Giant, but likely, obviously, the Giant will be included in an Iron Jaws battalion. Let's hope that these receive points online. I don't know that they will or not, but
I've got to imagine they will, given what they are. But I mean,
none of the other battalions have. None of the other box set
that's fair
stuff has.
Fair.
Like none of the starter forces, none of it. So I mean,
here's why I hope they do, because this is the best chance we all have of making a Giant competitive, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If he can count as an Iron Jaws Giant, like, and actually get all those bonuses, suddenly he could be worth something.
I am in.
Yeah.
Like if you're bonusing him from the drummers and all of that, like now you're cooking with butter. Sure. But we're not there yet. So let's just hope that we get points for him. Warhammer. Oh no. So the real big news, we buried the lead here. The real big news this week is the AOS box set release that's dropping on the 17th. That's right, folks. A new starter indeed is dropping. And by new, I mean there are round bases now in Island of Blood.
Look, it's an old classic. That's might as well be the theme of this week's news, is what's old is new again, apparently.
Yeah. But what I will say is that they are renaming some of the units. Mm-hmm. And that is significant. Like the Griffin Rider is like a warden on Griffin or something, which we don't currently have in any of the wording. And so we may be seeing new war scrolls and possibly new points here.
All right, so here's my question. I'm throwing this to Brad first. Brad, will this, if they rename and repoint things, could this make High Elves not suck? Like some version of High Elves not suck?
No one cares about High Elves. They only care that the Island of Blood is going to be repopulating eBay with an easy source of warp fire throwers for the Scryer Coven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like where your head's at.
And Reavers. Reavers are a big deal for Battle Line for what they do.
I think the last time I was on your show, I actually talked about that army too. So bring on the warp fire throwers.
There you go. I love it. First of all, I like where your head's at. I see how you went right to the Skaven half of the box, and I appreciate that. That's the right way to be thinking. You got to send those elves. That's what I did.
Don't most people just buy it for the Skaven and throw out the elves?
I believe so. Yes.
No.
I think they just throw them in the trash because they're basically worthless.
I have 2 boxes of those, and I've actually saved those 2 Island Bloods on my shelf for the elves, not the Skaven. I don't know what I'm going to do with those Skaven. It's worthless. But what I will say is this. What I'm interested in to see is how these guys get keyworded, particularly the Lothran Sea Guard, which are being renamed to Spire Guard, because you would have a spear infantry unit with bows.
Right.
And if that gets made battle line, like suddenly you have a really good option potentially for elves. I'm guessing it'd be 120 points is probably what you'd be looking at for 10 of them. If those are battle line, and depending on what keyword, because like, do they get a new keyword? Do they get the Swiftwing agents? Like that might be what the Griffin would sit in. Do the rest of them sit in that area because they have the aesthetic of the Swifthawk agents or whatever? They don't have a general in there that's going to be worthwhile at all.
I'm going to laugh if after spending like 20, 30 minutes in a previous show, Tom, just bagging on the Swifthawk agents, like you just yelled about them forever if suddenly they became really good because of a re-release and a renaming of the Island of Blood. I think that would be maybe my favorite thing this year. That would be my Christmas present. Now, Andrea, you seem like you wanted to defend the elves, the elf half. Are you a fan of the elf half of that IOB set?
I felt like I just kind of had to jump in. But like having like 1 piece, maybe 2 piece Swordmasters was great.
Yeah. 1 piece.
Nice and easy.
You were such a fan that you sold that army, eh?
That's why I didn't jump in too much, because I knew that part was coming.
The alternative would be if these are Collegiate Arcane. Like, because that's what the Swordmasters are, and we know that. Like, again, you would have something that's more compelling at that point, assuming that we get a general that's worth using.
Sure.
Because right now we don't. Even if they were Swift, like the Swifthawk agents, it would still be terrible unless the Griffin Rider has a good ability.
Well, that's a big question. Like, what is new Griffin Rider going to be like? Is he literally just going to be a genericized Eltharion with like, and then even if he has, what keyword does he have? Right? Where is he?
So
who can he trigger?
Here's where the money is going to be. Even if he is generic, if his keyword triggers on either Order or Elves.
Sure. If it were just generic like that.
Yeah, if that was generic. But what I haven't actually shared the most significant part of this rumor.
Oh, well, we're all on the edge of our seat, Tom.
This leaked in some of the comments for like distributor people. Rumor has it that this is actually going to be a 50-pound box.
I saw that 75 USD.
75 USD for an Island of Blood. They are aiming to clean out inventory with this. And they're only shipping a max of one per store.
Wow.
Yeah. So like it really is, available till it's gone. Sold at bottom, bargain bottom basement prices. 75. That means it's like $30-some per force.
Basically, a getting started.
You're at $1 a model.
Yeah, that's cheaper than one of the getting started boxes and has a significant number of models for 2 armies in it.
Yeah.
Not certainly not enough to play a whole army, but it'll get you off to the races on both.
I have to be honest, I'll probably if they really are 75 USD, I'm probably going to buy 1, maybe 2 more.
And 1, maybe 2 of those will immediately go on eBay once they stop being available in stores. I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
We'll see. But it's a really good deal for those models, is what I would say. And they're beautiful models. I love those high elves. They were the core. They were the backbone of my high elf force. So,
well, I got about 150 of them Skaven. So those like these are all like you can't see them, but there's just a sea of Island of Blood rats over there. So yeah, there's plenty of them.
Sure. Okay, moving on from the Spire of Dawn box. Warhammer TV on Twitch, which is we kind of had mentioned this previously, but the schedule is going to be 3 shows a week: Warhammer AOS on Wednesdays, studio stuff on Thursday, 40K Fridays, 2 battle reports, 1 narrative, 1 match for each system each day, for £5 subscription per month.
Correct. Yep.
So you got to pay a Netflix equivalent fee.
Yes, that is accurate.
Per month.
That is correct.
I'm a Amazon Prime member, and I've used Twitch before. And you can use your Amazon Prime membership to get 1 free subscription on Twitch.
Oh, really?
But I think they're usually less than £5 They're usually $5 US. So I don't know if it'll apply 1-to-1. As in 1 subscription for your Amazon Prime membership, but it might. So it's definitely worth looking into if you have Amazon Prime, because basically you've already paid for it.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm in.
Totally.
But the reality is that at £5, I'm not going to pay a Netflix fee for a couple hours, maybe a month, that I'm going to watch.
It's an interesting, so I would encourage everybody to go check out Scrubby and Wells podcast. So Tyler Emerson, who had Rob on.
Yep.
And they talked for about an hour and a half, mainly about Warhammer TV and about the new programming and what they're planning to do. And it is the type of thing that this is only the beginning, and they plan to add more content and stuff like that. And they really are trying to make some really high quality battle reports and give you commentary and all that stuff. And that's why they're doing the first week free, to give you a taste. For everybody, the first week is free. So you can go on Twitch and just watch the first week and see what you think.
One of the good things about a Twitch subscription is that you can, with that subscription, go back and view all of their previously recorded videos. So that will help if you do miss one and you are subscribed.
You can also do that on YouTube.
Sure. But one would hope, here's the thing. I don't hate this. Okay. First of all, that Prime thing is awesome. That's a super good tip, Brad. You just broke this wide open. So I'm totally checking that out. But I don't hate the idea of them charging for this. Okay. Like if they actually produce the content that's good enough. Like if they put some high production value to it and they make it worth it, then it's worth it. Right? Like that's what it boils down to. But at the same time, Tom, I get your argument. Like, let's assume each battle report's like 2.5 hours or something. I'll go alongside, okay? Like, because they're gonna edit some stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
probably gonna be an hour. I'll put money. It's gonna be an hour per battle report.
I'm going to go pretty long here, okay? So like that means you got 5 hours on Wednesday, 5 hours on Friday from 4 different battle reports, assuming you're interested in both. AOS
they said 60
40K.
hours a month of content total.
Okay.
Is what they said.
Oh, good. My estimate was going to work exactly, so that's cool. Because I was going to say, and half of that was studio interviews, so I was going to guess 15 a week. So hey, good on me.
Well, no, what that means is that if they have 60 a month, that means 15 a week total. That means 3 per day. Okay,
No,
that means that
it's 3 days they put up new content.
Right, and so you'd have 5 then per day. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it a shot.
We'll check it out. All right. Yeah, it's interesting. That's what I'll say. It's they're trying more things. I'm not gonna hate on that.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
That's true. We this week we had also dropped that it's been confirmed that we're getting Zangor officially for AOS, which surprised no one. We knew that back in June when Silver Tower, May when Silver Tower launched.
Sure.
But we've seen the sprues. Yay! Haha.
It was more than that. They actually confirmed on Facebook and said, "Yes, it's coming."
Yeah. In other news, GW, their 6-month report dropped, and at the half-year mark, it seems like their numbers are really good for AOS, which was kind of, I guess it shouldn't be surprising because it seems like there's a lot more momentum than what we've seen, prior. But yeah, what did you guys read up on any of the report?
I did not read the specific report, but I've heard through blogs and rumor sites pretty much what you've said. So it's good to kind of get some confirmation because we all have a lot invested in this. So it's good to see him do well.
Agreed. Yeah, here's the thing. They're putting this out in advance of their actual report, which comes out January 10th, right? Like the detail report. That's a big deal, okay, with public companies. Like if you know, and I'm not an expert anyway, but if you know anything about how shareholder expectations work, right? If you say something like this and then don't deliver, your stock goes down. It's that easy, right? It doesn't, even if you did well, but not as well as you thought, your stock will generally go down, right? You'll lose value because setting expectations is really important in the world of publicly traded stocks. So for them to come out and say, "No, we've been doing pretty great," it's pretty great. Like that must be true because otherwise they're just sinking themselves here, right?
Yep. Yeah, so that happened, and that's good. That's good for the that's good for the hobby. And then also Lake townhouses went up, and then went out of stock promptly.
Gone.
In the US.
So fast.
Yeah, and those battle forces, by the way, did the same thing in some countries. I think in the UK there are no more Iron Jaws battle forces. They're gone. Yeah. So that happened. In other news, we have the Ninth Age Tabletop Miniature Solutions, the Kingdom of Aquitaine Kickstarter. Is it, or not Kickstarter? It's an Indiegogo, right?
Yeah, Indiegogo.
Yeah. Indiegogo. Yeah, and it's in the last 4 days of the Indiegogo campaign. Check it out. We'll have the link below.
And I want to make a quick update on what I mentioned last week. You can get the free model even if you don't back, but go check it out. Go check out the site. Look at the models. They're super cool. The dude does awesome work. He's making awesome models. Give it a look, and you can get like one of his Kingdom of Aquitaine characters for the cost of shipping. I don't know what to tell you. Beyond that is an amazing deal. Like I don't know what's better than free. So there you go. Shipping is shipping. You got to cover that. So there you go.
Yeah, and other kind of more general news, Miniature Monthly dropped. Vince, I had shared this link with you. It's a new Patreon Facebook project from Aaron Lovejoy and Elizabeth Beckley, and so it's going to be have free kind of hobby. It's going to be kind of like the hobby box stuff. You know how like the like free box stuff,
Crate.
Well,
like Loot Crate type things.
well, here's what it like. No, it's really this.
Okay, okay, maybe I misinterpreted.
You misinterpreted it, but that's all right. I'll explain it.
Okay.
Okay. So they're a Patreon project. So basically, if you like, I think that you can go $2 or $5 subscription. Okay. And they're putting out a whole series. So if you don't know who Elizabeth and Aaron are, they're incredible painters. Brad, Andrea, you were at AdeptCon last year. Did you wander by the miniatures case for the crystal brush?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point.
Okay. Do you remember the diorama, the infinity diorama that was the two guys fighting over the downed tag in front of the like No Hope or like the Star Wars New Hope like cinema?
Oh yeah,
diorama?
Yeah.
like it was in front of a movie theater.
Yes. Okay. That's Aaron. Okay. That's Aaron Lovejoy. Okay. So he's amazing, obviously. Like if you saw that piece, you should know he's a really great artist. And Elizabeth is absolutely stunning as well. Like I don't want to take away from her. Aaron happened to create one of my favorite dioramas of all time there. But at any rate, they are doing a big series of videos. You can actually like where they go through a bunch of different techniques and stuff like that. They have personal trainings, like personal sessions you can get with them available at the higher Patreon levels. They have giveaways for like their painted miniatures every month, just for anybody who backs in any kind of way. If you're interested in sort of moving your hobby along to the next level, they're doing really intense like video trainings basically with their Patreon. It's really cool. It's a lot of support. They're great artists. The link will be down below. Go check them out. If nothing else, I'll post both the Patreon and the Facebook.
Well,
if nothing else, go
but
check
they're
out.
also being supported by like additional member perks supported by Reaper and Bombshell and other miniature companies as well.
Correct. And those are what they're.
I was actually informed about that from Dark Sword.
Yep.
So Dark Sword is actually obviously involved as well. So
Yep.
I say all this to say like there's more there than just like video tutorials.
Yes, and that's just it. That's what I'm saying. Like they're all these miniature companies are supporting them because they believe in them, and a lot of those miniatures they're painting are what you can get. Okay, when they as part of backing them. So check it out. If nothing else, go to the Facebook page. If you really like what they're doing, give it a like and boost the signal so that other people see it. They're great artists, and I fully support them in this project. It's amazing. So there you go. That is all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and then for final news items, we also have the Warhammer YouTubers Award for something that's coming closer to home. Start next week. Expect a full video this weekend from Vince, kind of prepping us and reintroducing us to the categories and all of that other stuff. Was it last year that I mistakenly won Best Painted?
You won one of the two. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I ran away with the category from Mickey, who in my opinion should have clearly won that category.
Hey, look, as we discussed at the top of the show, art and aesthetic are a subjective thing. You know, I might look at a beautiful piece of Jean Blanche work from a bygone era and think it looks amazing. Other people might not. Who knows? Who knows? It's
Mickey, you got robbed. You got robbed. Okay.
I agree. No, so yes, the Warhammer YouTube Awards. Look for a video this weekend. Obviously, it's the year-end awards. Check it out. There'll be lots of fun categories to vote on for people who are doing everything on YouTube. So there you go. Okay.
And then finally, this wasn't in our news items, but I want to mention it anyways because history is being made in our midst. Kingdom Death has over 14,000 backers. 14,000 and 7 point. If I wait a couple minutes, it'll be 7.2.
There you go. Just wait. There you go, Tom. There's
yeah,
what we're
I know,
at.
7.199469. We're one backer away from hitting 7.2 million.
Be right back.
So yeah, exactly. And all the free stuff just continues to get piled on to the pledges. I don't know if there are any Satan's pledges left, but that's where the money's at. The Satan's Lantern, there are not. It looks like he's locked.
Oh, small one.
Oh, is there?
There was just a small one that went through. It wasn't big enough to push the thing.
Oh yeah. You're welcome, Kingdom Death. That was us. No.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No, but I would say the Satan's pledges are where the money's at for this Kickstarter, because right now for like $1,600, $1,666, you're getting $2,600 worth of minis and expansions and stuff like that, and there is still 30 days left to go in this Kickstarter
for the low price of only a mortgage payment on a pretty nice house. For my first car. Let's put that in perspective. That is how much my first car cost. Okay? And I drove that for 5 years. I'm just saying,
you will likely double your money on this Kickstarter in raw product, and if you resold it later, you could possibly quadruple your money depending on stock levels.
I don't know who you're reselling it to at a Kickstarter that's got 15,000 backers. Like, everybody on the planet is apparently backing this thing. It's insanity.
That's not true, and most people are not going to have all the expansions, so all the expansions will probably resell fairly well, but that's not here nor there.
We'll see how that all shapes out. It is currently $800,000 ish away from being the biggest board game Kickstarter ever. It has to pass the 8 million-ish mark of Exploding Kittens. So there you go.
Yeah, so that's happening, and you could be a part of history too by backing that Kickstarter.
Yeah, sure. Your name will be remembered, I'm sure.
But also, just a warning: the shipping fees are probably going to be a couple $100.
If you go in on the big one, sure.
Yeah.
That being said, obviously everything Kingdom Death is amazing, and every miniature he sculpted is more or less gold. So,
yep. That's the news.
There you go. Pick of the week. Spinning around, guests always get the first thing. So, Andrea, I'll start with you. Pick of the week. What do you got?
Pick of the week. I went with the Warhammer community out on Facebook. I know there are a ton of great, forums and such. This is one that I see all the time because I'm constantly scrolling through my Facebook feed and seeing what's going on. So it's just something to, see if there's running any contests or, people posting up their stuff they're working on. So it's always in my face. So thumb up for me.
I dig it. And of course, that's where we got the Rumor Engine image from. I mean, there you go. They drop it they're nice enough to put it out every Wednesday right before our show. Thank you. We appreciate that. That's good timing. All right, Brad, what do you got, buddy? What's your pick? I'll link down to the community below. As always, I'll link to all these things. Brad, what do you got, buddy?
My pick is a little behind the times, but I've kind of been getting back into AOS media this week, and I listened to episode 30 of Facehammer, and it was excellent. It was their Warlords GT coverage and their thoughts on the first live streamed Warhammer tournament at Warhammer World. So I really liked some of their thoughts about having to play their games on the live stream, the good and the bad. There were some bad. And I also talked to a couple of the guys about their thoughts after Blood and Glory in comparison, because they are also coming to Adepticon and live streaming the AOS Championship.
Nice. Now, did the opinions change in between Warlords and Blood and Glory? Like, did they sort of make it a easier, less painful, perhaps, or handle some of the challenges?
Yes, it did improve. Not just quality of the stream and the coverage, but the actual experience for the players. Because I think Terry did play on both tournaments on the live stream. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I talked to him about some of his experience, and he'd said it did improve. So after listening to the episode, I was like, oh man, maybe I don't want to be on a live stream. And then talking to him the second time, I was like, maybe we'll see. But it definitely improved. So it was definitely a good listen, not only for their quality kind of tactical coverage, but also for those live stream experiences.
Nice. I dig it. It's funny because this is one of those things that Magic players at a very high level are certainly very used to, because, the pro tours have been, broadcast, and you're playing live with, video in your face for years now. Right.
that's something they definitely talked about, and that's such a huge difference too, because at all of those tables there are multiple tables being live streamed at a time. So if there's a slowdown in the game, they can switch to a different table. One of the things he talked about was he was thinking about conceding one of his games, and he was told, no, you have to play it out, you're on the live stream. And listen to the episode to get the whole story, because I could be mincing words here, but that was kind of the overall thought at first before I talked to him the second time. And again, comparing to Magic, they have multiple tables. They have a judge at every table for rulings, especially on the live stream tables. And it's such a huge difference, but I think we will kind of move towards that direction, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can. I think they can beg, borrow, and steal, frankly, from like Pro Tour coverage. Really, because just the way that the commentators talk about it, the way that the coverage is set up, it's a smooth, painless experience as a viewer, at least, right? When you're watching the Magic events. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could be an analyst, but I could be a color guy. I mean, if Charles Barkley can be a color guy, I could be a color guy.
That's your standard, eh?
Nice.
Rhellion at least as good as Charles Barkley. I think you should add that to like your handle there. That should be at least as good as Charles Barkley. I've
already painted it onto my next nameplate.
There you go. Excellent. Tom, what do you got for your pick of the week?
So Vince, I'm going to steal play from your book. Last week you promoted Rob's commercial.
Yes.
The Apple spoof,
which was great.
It was kind of the product spoof of the Chaos Black Extra Large.
Mm-hmm. No, you gotta do it. You gotta go.
Oh.
Walk away. X, and then you fade.
All right, I've had enough.
It's delightful. So I'm going to take a play from Vince's book and promote Rob's newest video, which is his team's tournament event announcement, where he and his teammate himself, and it cuts to himself in, him playing his cousin. It's just watch it.
Gotcha.
It's funny.
All right, fair enough. My pick for this week is a gardening video. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's from a little friend in the community, from our a very well-known fellow, our good old Steve Foote, who made a little gardening video tip, I think, for people. And I think it could be really useful if you're looking, it's winter time. You got to think about how that garden, planting it for the spring. So just check it out. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. It's going to really help you out, I think, especially if you happen to be in a tree growing mood. If you happen to appreciate the Sylvaneth. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it there. Links down below. Check it out.
So is this a basing video?
Just watch it. You were allowed to say that. I can't be mysterious, Tom.
Sorry. I don't know. I'm asking.
It's not a basic video. It's a very funny video. There you go. It is comedy. I'm sharing a funny thing. Okay. You'll see. All right, so let's turn to some hobby time. Again, we'll start with the guests. This is one of the reasons I'm very excited whenever Brad and Andrea come on, because sometimes, Tom, we have guests, and when it comes to hobby time, maybe they don't have anything that big they're working on. But I know with Brad and Andrea, we are guaranteed to get some intensity every time.
You're setting them up, and they could not deliver. It's possible.
I'm not worried at all. Andrea, we'll start with you. What do you got?
I am currently just starting my Orc Blood Bowl team. They are going to be different from my AOS Orcs, where these are more traditional green skins from the old world. I'm skipping over the blue skins for this one.
Nice. Now, are you going to ever integrate any of them into your regular force, perhaps? Could they show up as Ard boys?
Probably not. My army's strict Iron Jaws, so we're keeping things a little separate here.
Fair enough.
Plus, it's fun to paint something different now and then.
There you go. All right, I dig it. Absolutely. I know you got a game in tonight. I won't bring that painful memory.
Ouch.
Was it painful for me? Oh!
Yeah, I know.
I
need new dice. That's what it is. Just new dice.
You go. Now, I only dig in the knife because I believe the orcs went down to a team that I happen to enjoy. Brad, I thought he might have been piloting some things that I favor.
My gutter runner may or may not have killed a black orc.
Wow.
May or may not have happened.
Ooh, you dirty rat.
Brad, what about yourself, buddy? What are you working on?
Well, I was assembling Blood Bowl. I converted up a bunch of orc players for Andrea's team. I made a troll out of a Age of Sigmar mega boss Auric with a river troll head and fists with the big shoulder skull shaved off and then green stuffed into a shoulder pad. So he's a really cool looking model. You can see him on my Twitter feed probably. And then I assembled my entire Sylvaneth army and had a game with it. So I started another new army.
There you go. You see, Tom, I'm never worried. Now, that might also be because I follow both Andrea and Brad on Twitter and saw them talking about their projects, so I happen to know a little bit. And you should, too. Both of their Twitters are down below. It's always a good time. Tom, what's on your hobby table, man? What are you working on?
I am still feverishly kit bashing and assembling minis for Holy Havoc in February. I'm still conceptualizing and building minis. All of my boring stuff is done, and everything else is custom stuff that I'm building. So I am making probably the cheesiest, goofiest, like weenie unit you could make. I am making Chaos Furies,
or as you keep saying when you're telling me about them, Chaos Furries, which is
because it's funny.
Very different. It's a very different.
Whole other kind of game.
Yeah,
Nurgle Chaos Furries.
very different.
Anyways, you can imagine what they're like.
Nope. Pass.
Yeah, but it's been funny assembling these because it's a weird, I'm getting to model and like custom build a bunch of Nurglings. And Nurglings being fun they are, but with little butterfly wings. Because they're adorable. And it's just been a very enjoyable hobby project. And I'm looking forward to fielding some very atypical things at Holy Wars. So it'll be fun.
Very nice. Now, Brad, are both of you going to Holy Wars?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Very good.
Our whole club is coming this year to Holy Wars.
Excellent. Nice. Excellent. I'll slip you Tom's whole list. It's fine. No big deal. I'll make sure we can talk afterward. I'll set you up.
Don't worry. Don't need it.
Oh.
I like that confidence.
Well, my general strategy is build an army that needs no thought, push it forward, and try to win.
It's a good plan. Yeah, now that is a school I can support. I like it. I dig that strategy. That way you can focus on thinking about other things, just anything else. Yeah, I'm down with that. All right. So myself, I'm working on what I think we'll see how it all comes out. But my first competition piece for Adepticon this year, and the mini isn't going to be able to show, so I'll say this. This is Percival from Kingdom Death. There you go.
Yep.
So yeah, we talked about it. I'll back up that I'm a fan. And she's a beautiful knight. You can see there with her holding her helmet. So I'm very excited about this when she's coming along. We're about 20 hours in on her. We've got many more to go. So, but I'm very excited about how she's turning out. So
there's a vast difference between you and myself. 20 hours is a full army.
Well, I mean, you go to a little different when it's for competition. You know what I mean? Like when the model itself, the one model has to stand on its own.
Yeah, definitely different competition.
Yes, exactly. I don't do that on an actual army that's meant to be put on the table and played. I'm not that insane. I wouldn't. I'd finish an army sometime. I'd be painting at Tom speed. I mean, how would I ever play anything? It'd be ridiculous.
Just sigh, shake his head.
Exactly. All right. So let us
not
turn.
worth my time.
Indeed, he knows it's what's coming. Let's turn to the feature segment. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Santa is bringing all the good little Sigmarines, boys and girls, many, I'm sure, plastic dollies this year. So we thought, let's talk to two masters of army collection about.
Well, wait, hold on. Do I get to count an army collection? I mean, I may not be
three masters of army collection. I'll give it to all three of you. You're all. It's all fair. I accept, Tom. No, you get to be in this group, certainly. Tom also has a problem, so you all, there you go. You all can be in the Addict Club. That's fine. MA, Miniatures Anonymous. So I thought we'd break this down and talk about what are some of the best armies for people who want to get a new army for Christmas. Look at it from terms of best deal, most competitive, what's got the best hobby potential, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then we might have a little surprise group at the end. So as usual, the guests get the blessing and the curse of going first. So we're going to start out talking about the best deal. For those on the budget, right? You're looking, you want to get an army for Christmas, but you don't want to spend a lot of those delaries. Maybe Santa doesn't have a lot of pesos this year to put stuff under the tree. So, Andrea, what's your pick for best deal?
Well, I don't know if it necessarily counts as like a good starter, kind of all-encompassing for on the small side, but I put down the Skeleton Horde, just based on getting the Mortarch is pretty much the price of the box, and then you pay an extra $5 or something like that to get all the skeletons and all the other stuff with it. So I think it's just a good bang for your buck.
Yes, and easy to build onto as well, right? Because realistically, because that kit can be built three ways, you could even just pick up 2 starter boxes. Now you got a nice big pack of different skeletons, and you got 2 of the different Mortarchs.
Absolutely.
So, yep. No, I like that. I agree. That's all. I think that's been one of the probably more popular ones, those starter boxes. One, because that Mortarch model is totally awesome, and 2, because skeletons are also pretty awesome. So I don't know what you do with the Black Knights in there, but that's okay. Everything else in there is good.
X-rays.
There you go. Yep. All right. There. See, Brad's thinking. Turn it around. Ignore the fact that they're skeletons. Build them as X-rays. Now you got a winner on your hand. All right. That box just even skyrocketed farther in my head. I don't know why. I forgot that was the alternate build
Just
for
be
those.
sure to build Manfred.
Yep. There you go.
I remember you bashing my Manfred choice.
Manfred,
I remember.
You remember, and you're right. I hate Manfred. He's terrible. I don't mean rules-wise. I mean person-wise. He's a bad person. But Manfred, not on his kitty cat, is one of the greatest models in this game. Like, Manfred out of the compendium, 160-point Manfred is stupidly good. But more expensive Manfred's still pretty good. There you go. All right. Brad, what do you got? What's your best value pick?
Beast Claw Raiders Icewind Assault. $250 battalion box. If you buy a Stonehorn kit and add it to that box, you have exactly 2,000 points. So $275 for a full 2,000 point army. And it's only 2 boxes.
That's pretty amazing. And that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. All right. I can dig that. And plus, that also could even slide into another category later, perhaps. So we'll come back to it because there's not a lot of models there, right? So
no, not a lot of models.
Yeah, low model count. I like that. That can be a good advantage. Sometimes you can be a deluge when you get a new army and you're like, oh, I regret this a bit. When you're looking at like 100 Skaven clan rats or something. Yeah.
I also purchased that about when I started my Sylvaneth army, so I have 2 armies being assembled right now at the exact same time.
Nice.
You mean I have one of those armies being assembled and painted at the same time?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still got my claws in it, I think.
I like that. I think that pause was what said everything there, Andrea. That's what I think. All right, Tommy, what do you got, buddy? What's your pick?
Iron Jaws. I'm gonna have to go with Iron Jaws. Honestly, between the Getting Started box, the Battle Force box, and a Maul Crusher, which at the standard kind of 20% discount, the combination of those three is under 300. And surprisingly, it is. It's under 300, and you're going to have multiple builds at 2,000 points. So that because you're going to have every single hero, you'd have a couple units of the Gore-Gruntas, you'd have 2 units of the Brutes, you would have your Maul Crusher, and then you'd have all the heroes, and you'd have some art boys. So I mean, you'd have just the nice smattering across the board. And I think there's you could build out at least 2 of the battalions. The one that everybody's gonna run anyways is the one that most people are gonna you'll have the build out for. So it's just a nice balanced multi-build 2,000 point Iron Jaws force, depending on if you want more Ard Boys or if you want more Gore-Gruntas. So yeah, it's I'm in and in fact. I'm not just in it's a good idea. I pulled the trigger on that, so all of that is in the mail right now. Because
I did not know that.
Because the reality is, I'm going to stick on the shelf, and when I get to my destruction force, either I can build it out and have my Iron Jaws, or I can just resell it. And everything was at such a good discount between the War Store and stuff like that with the extra Black Friday discounts that, I mean, in the long run, it's a good deal no matter what. Whether I keep the models or not.
All right.
So yeah, in my opinion, that is the best deal, and it can be competitive. Not all the other boxes can actually be competitive with what you're getting in the boxes themselves. The Iron Jaws, you can't necessarily say that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So, I feel like with deals, there's sort of an easy theme here. In that, obviously a lot of these starter boxes are where we go. But, I mean, it seems obvious, but it kind of is. But I'm going to put a little twist on it, okay? So my argument is going to be Stormcast. And here's why. Because there is a flood of other ways in the sort of secondary market you can also get Stormcast. So not only can you get all of the boxes and all that kind of stuff cheap, and there's between the big army box at 170 that has the prime and everything, and all the way back to the original Age of Sigmar starter box, right? But because of all of those releases, you could also just put together a little eBay wish list, right? And send that list to somebody, and you can pick up so many different Stormcast on the cheap from eBay resellers at this point.
Because they visually all look the same, you can get bits and build all the other builds out of Retributors.
Correct.
Stuff like that.
Liberators, yeah.
Yeah, Liberators, that's what I meant. You could build out everything just from bits, getting super cheap models, from the Bits world and stuff like that. And then make your shooter, is that Retributors?
So no, Retributors are your hammer guys, but I don't. Who can keep all those names straight? Your Adjudicators.
Yeah, your Adjudicators.
Bow guys, hammer guys, mace guys.
Yeah. That's how you should say it. Exactly.
Warhammer guys.
Axe guys, long two-handed sword guys.
Look, you can make the wing guys and the bow guys out of the normal guys. That's what's relevant.
Yep. The only confusion came at the store this weekend when I was trying to explain wing guys, and there are 3 different wing guys. He's like, is it the big wing guys? I was like, no, it's the medium wing guys.
The medium wing guys.
For the Knight of Zeros rather than the Stelliston Prime.
Sure, absolutely. That's awesome. Yes, you can build.
Which, by the way, those come in the Silver Tower box,
right?
The hero box, and so getting that on the cheap, you could resell those and get them for free functionally. So
there is just so many ways to attack a cheap Stormcast army right now. Yep. It's ridiculous. It almost begs you to just really you could get at a massive Stormcast army pretty cheap. The only other thing I'll mention on this, since it's my show and I can cheat, is that before the show, I was scrolling around on eBay looking at army deals. The number of free people's army, just Empire stuff, okay, that people are selling at ridiculously low prices is myriad. So you could also get rather massive free people armies. I don't know who wants, truckloads of halberdiers and handgunners and knights and stuff. But if you do,
They're
you
there.
can get them off secondary market pretty cheap. So
Yep.
there you go.
There's a reason why they're there.
I don't disagree with you, but this is value, not competitive. I didn't say they were any good, but maybe you like pantaloons.
I hear there's some dark elves being sold on the market right now too.
Could be. Could be.
See, that's different. Buy those freaking witch elves, man. Those things are like gold. $40 for 10 of them. Jesus.
Yes.
Or,
yes,
sorry,
indeed.
$50, I think.
60 is the base, and then discounted, you're going to get them for 48 at the 20% discount.
60.
The Cauldron of Blood is 75 base.
Where's that getting started box? Not coming anytime soon. That's the answer. All right, so let's now I didn't put this in the original show notes, but I was thinking about this before the show. Worst value. Are Fire Slayers still like one of the hardest, most expensive armies to collect?
Well, we did, so I don't think we really look at price. We just kind of pick up boxes.
Sure.
Because you have what? 3 of the big dragons, 2 of the big dragons?
I have 2 of the big dragons, because then you can build all 3 options mounted and all 3 on foot.
And then 40 to 60 of the foot troops, I think.
Yeah.
So was that a good life decision? I think that's what Vince is asking.
Well,
Not so much.
Somebody has already shelved them and moved on to other armies.
Well, yeah, because I've inherited those Beast Claw Raiders now.
You have not.
The question came up because somebody asked, like, why don't we have a Fire Slayer getting started box or a battle box? What do you think?
Because they probably sell.
Yeah.
Do you really think they sell?
I think they do. Yeah. They sell locally, at least. That's what I heard from our store manager.
Who is playing
We
those
are the
other
local.
than Kenny Lowell? Like, who is playing Fire Slayers other than Kenny? Who is playing them?
Well, he just plays them so often.
They were on the live stream. I saw somebody playing them on the live stream.
Well, there you go.
I don't think they do well enough by themselves yet. So I think you might see them more just kind of mixed in a general order army.
They did lose on the live stream.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's not a great advertisement for them. There you go. Yeah, I like when I was thinking about these armies, there's so many ways you can get it, like cheap versions of a lot of armies. Like if you want to put together order, death, chaos. And then I thought about like, but when I was thinking about when I started breaking down to the sub factions, I was like, other than some of the out of date armies, which, like it's probably expensive to get Tomb Kings now or something, right?
No, that's easy.
Although Bretonnians are still all the Bretonnians you could want, I promise. Like you can get your hands on Bretts. You're going to pay more and more and more for like the very special knights.
Yeah.
But
to return back, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but Fire Slayers were the ones that I was like, I can't crack. Like I couldn't find a cheap way to get at a Fire Slayer army, like retail. I mean, or some percentage off retail.
To jump back, actually, we had mentioned them previously, but if you want to talk about one of the most expensive forces to buy, it's going to be actually the sisters or the daughters of Cain. You'd mentioned the witch elves, because your witch elves are your battle line troops,
sure,
and you want blocks of them. And your alternative to the witch elves are sisters of the sisters of Slaughter, which are also the same bot.
Sure, there's no cheap option.
And then your monster hero options, all of them come from the Cauldron of Blood, which is a $75 kit you're going to need to buy 2 to 3 of, because they're actually aggressively pointed cost-wise. Sure. They're only like 160 points for the Blood Rack Shrine and like 220 for the commander on the War Shrine that generates the bubble and gets all the command abilities and all the neat stuff. And that's like 220. But both of those, again, are $75 a box. And you're probably going to buy 3 of those boxes. It's just going to be an expensive army.
Oh, witch elves, we love you, but you have and always probably will cost too much money. All right, so now let's turn. So if somebody's like, you know what, I'm not worried about the price as much, but I'm looking to crush some face. So we turn to our competitive army. What should people be looking for if what they want Santa to bring is some face beating? What should they be looking for under the tree? Andrea, we'll start off with you again. What's your pick?
Well, I'm not the most competitive person, so this is probably not entirely accurate or my strong suit. But I've heard a lot of people bitching about the flesh eater courts, just saying, are they cheesy? Are they difficult? Not fun to play against. So, just hearing a lot of rumblings about them lately. That's why they popped to my brain.
All right, I dig it. I think they're especially gross if you're not under like match play restrictions. Certainly, that's when they even ramp up to 11, because then they just start calling in everybody. Although their ability to refill their units even under a match play restriction is pretty effective. Like, let's not joke.
It's
If you don't
strong.
if you don't wipe out the unit, it will be back to full strength pretty fast.
And is this the one the Morn Ghoul can fit under, or does that fall under something else?
No, Morn Ghouls are going to be Night Haunt, but
Okay.
people who are going to mix them normally. Like, there's no reason not to mix Flesh Eater Courts, because at that point you're going to be running the ghouls anyways, which are baseline battle line.
Yep, you fill your battle line automatically. Your guys, like your commanders, can all do what they need to do with all your Flesh Eater stuff army. I think the real question is why not have a couple Morn Ghoul? That's really that's the big question.
Yeah, and they don't have a. I mean, I guess they do have the Terrorgeist, so they don't have a real good monster, but they do.
The Terrorgeist is fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Brad. What about you? What's your pick for the face rollers, the competitive army choice?
Sylvaneth Darkroot Wargrove, new box, $170. Ignore the battalion that it comes with, and don't build the Spite Revenants. Don't build the Tree Man Ancient. Instead, 6 Tree Revenants, 6 Kurnoth Hunters with Scythes.
Mm-hmm.
Build your Tree Man as Durthu.
Yep, I support all this so far.
And then you've got Drycha. All you gotta do is add a unit of Dryads to get your 3 battle line, and then add Alariel on the Beetle, and that's about 2,000 points, and that's one of the top armies from Blood and Glory. It's almost, I think, the list that they have on their website right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great start to a very competitive army. I haven't been playing the big monster mash myself, which that is the monster mash for Sylvaneth. I will eventually, but I think just mass amounts of Kurnoth Hunters right now is what's for me with my Sylvaneth build. And
I get that those Kurnoth Hunters with those scythes are just it's like wheat. It's just harvesting wheat. And I actually did run Alariel 2 weeks back in a game, and she's pretty effective. That Beetle, like, I had her and a Spirited Durthu. When you've got people piling into combats, one of whom is swinging for 6 damage and one of whom is swinging for 5 damage, units evaporate real fast. Especially when like these things don't stay wounded, because Alariel is just like, we're healing wounds. Yay! Everybody's better. Whee! So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's what I'll say. It was fun to finally get revenge on those stupid Iron Jaws that have been plaguing me these past couple games. Just watch Alariel plow through units of brutes like they don't even exist.
That army is brutal versus Iron Jaws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even mean to transition there, but okay.
Tommy, what's your pick, buddy? What's your
I'm gonna flip and go back to something that was already mentioned. Man, the Beast Claw Raiders, like, just the Stonehorn, just all the spam, all of the ogre mounted spam with your Moon Clan Grots running around with your Fanatic screens. Just like those, the ability, it saw play in Blood and Glory, and it's catching on as to how truly effective the solo Fanatics hiding in the Moon Clan Grots are to control charges. That has popped up where people are sending out the solo Fanatics to stop a charge. And then like, you control it, they lose their charge by doing that, and then you move up and charge and just blow things off the table. And that force is like, it's very competitive. There's a reason why like almost a third of the armies at Blood and Glory were variations of that list. They said there were dozens of lists at Blood and Glory that were modifications of that the Stonehorn list. So with Moon Clan and Fanatics and So it's really good right now.
It's so hot right now. Yes, that's what I've heard.
It is
All right. Much like Hansel. So my pick, I'm going to return to perhaps something that you may have a little easier access to now. I'm going to say lay your hands on that Island of Blood. Okay. Get yourself some Skaven. Now, and then just flesh out towards, I'll accept either like a Death Star Verminous build where you take your Storm Vermin and make them just into shredders, or I will accept turning the other direction into a Skyer build. Either one of these are good. I don't think there's anything wrong with a lot of Storm Fiends, a lot of Hot Warp Flame, Hot Warp Lead. You go the direction you like, but I'm picking Skaven. I think that the re-release of the Island of Blood, it can fill out like that one box is going to give you most of like your battle line you need. You can just run around little units of clan rats for super cheap battle line to get in the way and act as chaff. You get some weapon teams in there that you need. The wind launcher that you get in that, I stand behind the wind launcher. That is a great weapon team. It's cheap, long range, very effective. That is an overlooked gem of the clan Skyer force. Let me just say that. I like a little mix of close up with the warp fire thrower and far away with the wind globe So wind globe launcher, whatever. That's my pick. I'm partial to the rats, and I personally think that like a appropriately kitted drilling team or drilling, Storm Fiend, etc. Skyer list is quite brutal in a really ridiculous fashion. So
as our opponents at Holy Havoc discovered.
Yeah, well, what they discovered is that rolling that amount of dice takes forever. That's what I discovered. And that those machine guns, the worst part about them is like pause 10 minutes while I figure out how many wounds I did, when it's going to almost always be within 1 or 2 of mathematical averages. Great.
As they watch their stopwatch and begin to count down your sports score.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, no joke.
We had one game. We had one game go past turn 2.
Oh my gosh.
It takes a long time. Okay. It's when you're rolling like that many Storm Fiends worth of dice. What can you do? All right. So
keep that in mind, Bone Splitter wannabes. Just think about that before you look at that list.
Boys.
Build it. Just think about that.
The skeleton spammers, the Cunnin rock
Cunnin
spam,
Ruck.
and the Cunnin Ruck, and the Storm Fiend machine gun spammers are called the game halters. It's just like, hold on. I'll get back to you in like 10 minutes with the 12 wounds I did.
Back in 8th edition, when I played huge 300 model count Skaven armies, it was not a big deal because I played that army 3 times a week, every week, to prepare for tournaments, and I was fast. If you can do that, play whatever you want. If you can't do that and you can't learn to play your own damn army, leave it at home.
Go for the ogre force that Brad told you about at the beginning. That's the way to go. Get some good Iron Guts types things out there. Low model count. You roll a nice, reasonable pack of dice that all hit hard and do damage. That's the army for you. There you go.
You can play the hardest, worst army in the game so long as you can actually finish your games. I don't care. But if I get to turn 2 when I'm playing you, it's not going to look good on your soft scores.
All right. So let's turn to our best hobby potential. So this could be conversion, this could be paint scheme, this could be what you think looks the coolest, whatever it is. Okay. So this is just the thing that grabs your attention for some reason aesthetically. All right, Andrea, we'll start with you again. What do you think?
I put down any of the Sylvaneth. You can do a ton of conversions. You can be adding leaves and snow. They can be based in any season, any climate. They're living trees, they're dead trees, there's just a lot you can do with them. And as someone who doesn't always gravitate towards the paint scheme on the box, this you can, sky's the limit. It's like demons, close your eyes, pick a color, and you can make a scheme out of it, and it's going to work.
I definitely support this 100%. Yes. I just finished up my Sylvaneth army with Aloriel, and so yeah, I agree completely. It was super fun to model. And you're right. Like the color schemes are all over the board, right? And it's fine. It's all trees. As long as you got
my Sylvaneth actually are converted up quite a bit. Like they're all literally tree spirits, where I have spirit host models coming out of the staves and the roots and the arms of the tree lord ancients that I built.
Nice. Did you use some of the did you use the original spirit host, or did you also mix in maybe some of the like banshees from the what is that thing? Because they have their little wispy trails behind them too. You know what I'm talking about, from the alternate Coven Throne. Yeah, exactly.
I bought a couple of the new spirit host kits, the new plastic kits. Those are all the ones that I used.
And those are beautiful.
Yeah, because they almost look pretty much the same as the Dryad kits. They're very like the facial structure and the skinny narrow faces. They look very similar to Dryads. So I haven't gotten as far as painting yet. Obviously, I've just been building the army and converting up some of the characters, but they look very similar, and they're going to be painted similar.
Nice. I hadn't thought about that. You're right. Like, as you were talking about, I was like, those faces really do look very similar. Like the Dryad face itself, because it does look a lot like the Spirit Host face. Huh. That is interesting. I hadn't considered that. All right. So Brad, are you back in the Sylvaneth pick, or do you have a different pick for hobby potential?
Chaos.
All right.
Tzeentch Chaos, Magnus the Red, and Zangors.
Yes.
Sky's the limit with those guys, transferring them to Age of Sigmar. We've got a local Tzeentch guy who has been eyeballing Magnus the Red and Zangors. And while I don't think the Zangors have the best rules, we're talking hobby here, and I think converting some of those guys to Age of Sigmar would look really cool. I just want to see Magnus the Red chop off his bone nipples and chop off his head and add 2 Phoenix heads from the High Elf kits, and you got yourself a pretty awesome looking Kairos Fate Weaver.
Yeah, I may have been thinking about the same thing. I totally agree with you. That and those sorcerers could even be great, like Sorks on disc, right? Because they don't look that that science fiction. At least 2 of them don't. Yeah, I got to agree. I totally agree with the bow nipple hack off too, by the way. Like we are in complete agreement on.
Those are terrible.
Aren't they? I do not get that choice. That is the part of that.
Sorry, Kelly. We were talking to her last night about her Magnus the Red. I think she was defending the bone nipples.
Nope. Pass. Hard pass on that. Yeah. Zoop, gone. I'm with that. All right. He even has like the feathers on his arms and legs and stuff too. He really is set up to be like a good keeper, because or not keeper. I'm sorry. Lord of Change. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Tommy, hobby potential. Go.
I'm going to be true to form. And I'm going to suggest, I think there is a lot of mixed aesthetic possibilities for kit bashing and Elven Force. And what I mean by that is both the dragon and the bird has mixed aesthetics across both the Dark Elf and High Elf armies. And you could do a really interesting Phoenix Temple Force, for example, with like running your normal Phoenix Guard, running your Phoenixes, obviously. But then you could do Executors. And because they have like the heavy cloaks and similar armor, and you could even, with the arms, I may or may not have the bits and have tested this already on a few test models, doing Phoenix Guard like Executors, so like using all the main Phoenix Guard but the Executor arms for the big great swords. And to consider the bird aesthetic, you could pull in like the Swiftwing agent, like the Skycutter chariots. And paint those up using the similar bird aesthetics. You could do the riders, the Wood Elf riders, convert some of those over, obviously using the same bird aesthetics. You could do units of like spearmen, like equivalent either dread spears or high elf spearmen. probably High Elf Spearmen because they have the better rules of those, and they're only 80 points per 10. And you could convert over either using the Phoenix Guard or whatnot, and pull in like the spear arms. Interestingly enough, from the Dark Riders, they have really good like spear arms that are like the full shoulder and arm. And the shields are actually like, and the banner is actually like an eagle or like a hawk head on the Dark Riders. And so you can pull in the bird aesthetic so they can have bird shields for like a Phoenix Temple spearman unit. And so like aesthetically, there's a lot of unified stuff there. Likewise, you could do something similar with the dragons between the High Elves and Dark Elves and pull in like Order Draconis and then a bunch of other stuff with like Sea Guard and a bunch of the dragon motif that traces through all the different units. And so there's some really neat kind of unified aesthetics with a little bit of kit bashing and similar paint jobs. And I think it would look really good and really compelling.
You know, those Dark Rider arms you're talking about, like either ones, the Brolock or the Dark Rider, those arms will fit right onto Dryads too, by the way. By the by. There you go. So there you go. If you want to turn some of your Dryads into free Revenants.
Or may have not bought all the bits for that type of force. It may or may not have showed up in the last week or two.
Good Lord.
We'll see.
All right, well, I look forward to that army hitting the table, and by what is, at this point, my count is up to like 2024. I'm going to have an audience member fact check.
Hey, I've thinned out some of my Dark Elves. And so like I'm tightening the forces that I do have that I am planning on painting, getting everything at like 2,000 point lists.
You sold part of one force and you bought at least two more. This is not thinning down. I'm not sure if you understand how thinning down works.
So by the way, for our longtime viewers, those that know that I put out a whole collection video in last January. At this point, I think I've committed myself to doing an update video as to what the current collection looks like 1 year later. So
yeah, we'll be able to see what bad decisions has Tom made in the last 12 months. Yep. We can all look forward to that video.
Yep, that's probably coming.
So I'm going to take a similar tack to Brad, but slightly differently. Also inspired by the Zangor. I'm saying Beastmen because here's my thought. One, I think Beastmen are fun, and two, I think hobby potential. It's just out of the park right now because just with some simple head swaps. Now that we got the Zangor heads in the mix, you can start mixing and matching. You could have like your Bestigor all be Zangor. You know, you can use the Zangor as like your Bestigor if you don't like the Zangor rules themselves. The monsters and stuff that you can bring in through the War Herd, because your Gore are battle line and Gore are fine for battle line. Like you can those Gorgons and Cygors and Beast Giants and stuff like that. That's all eminently convertible stuff. You can just go nuts and start shoving any weird animal head. You mentioned the Phoenix head. Shove that right on a giant. Boom. Bird giant. Perfect. There you go. Now you're ready to go for the Beastman army. And so there's a lot of good mixing and matching you can do. And I think you could make a pretty sweet, compelling Beastman, like true Beastman force, not just goat people anymore, but like across the board. So boom. There you go.
Bird giant.
Yes. Bird giant. Absolutely. You got to watch out for bird giant. No one sees bird giant coming. I think that's what's important. All right. So now let's final one here. Let's say you're a person who makes investments for the future. You know, you've got your long term. You got your stocks and bonds, right? So what do you see as the collection you can make now that has the most potential for the future, right? Something that you think is going to get maybe a big release or is going to get good rules or will have a long life in front of it of being valuable to you for a long time to come. Like you'll get a lot of play out of it. Andrea, we'll start off with you. What do you think?
I went with Seraphon, actually.
All right.
Just thinking on the lore, everything is a memory. They can, blink them into existence. So that opens a huge realm of possibilities. So you have all your stuff that's there from the old world, but now have things been maybe corrupted or reimagined or whatever here in the new realms. You know, just with their magic and then their big beasties, they've got some good just regular infantry guys. So I think that they could have a really good big release.
I like it. And also I will say, like, from a competitive front, they're certainly at least mid-range. They're competitive, right? It's not that they're not a terrible force. They've got some solid units in there. Certainly Lord Croak can be a real monster, that's for sure.
Right.
That guy on a Balewind Vortex is not a great time. That's
I was going
what
to
think
say,
there.
just add Balewind Vortex.
Yes, season 2 taste. Yeah, absolutely.
Dual Hell
right.
Cannon has something to say about him.
Well, sure, yeah. The Hell Cannons.
18 Kurnoth Hunter archers with a
Gross.
with a Hurricaneum.
Shoot, bring him down.
Shoot her!
I like it. And also
Dinosaur themed, nice tie-in.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And what I think is really great too about that is it does hit the other category too of hobby potential, because I think Lizardmen are another one of those armies that has immense hobby potential, right? Color schemes, whatever you want, like go nuts. So you can be hobbying on it for a long time to come too, right? And exploring different color schemes. Your units don't have to look the same. Go crazy. Who cares? All right, Brad, what do you got? What's your pick here for future potential?
Clever girl. I would say Death. We've seen the least from Death as a faction, and I think they have the greatest room to grow. You could go with the established Flesh Eaters, or you could pick up a Malignant box and add a couple of the what are those new guys called? The one that everybody fields 2 of now.
Besides the Mourngle?
The Mourngle, that's what I meant. There you go. And then, or you could just hop on the Mortark track and grab the Skeleton Horde box, which is a great way to start, obviously. I think Death is definitely the most potential for the future.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because they've got a lot of strong options now. And what I really think you're dead on with, Brad, is something's got to happen with them, right? Like, we've got almost no releases. Everything's kind of under Nagash right now. It feels like the kind of army that in a year or two is going to get or the faction, I should say, alliance, that's going to get a big shakeup with like a big new force carved out of it, something like that. That's
kind of the way Destruction was, and then we got 3 battle tomes in a row, and now Destruction are doing pretty excellent on the GT scene.
Yep. Absolutely. Tommy, what do you got? What's your pick for future?
Stormcast Eternals. Those bitches aren't going anywhere anytime soon. You are likely to see, like, they have a statue out front. Like, let me just point that out. They are not getting retired. You will likely, we have 2 more chambers to explore, Auxiliary and the Artillery or something. Like, we have 2 more chambers that have not been unlocked yet.
Sure.
So they have full releases coming. Like, that's happening. That'll synergize either closer or not, like the Extremist Chamber. It kind of synergizes, but who knows? But the reality is that there's more Stormcast coming. I can assure you of that. It may not be this year. It may not be big releases, but there will always be releases for you.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday.
If you're like a stocks or a futures guy, I think it's definitely a solid investment in the army that has a fucking statue outside of the building.
Yep. I mean, you're not like, that is, I have got to say, Tom, that is a really good argument. Like, they literally built the guy outside the building. So
literally the golden idol.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you're not wrong there. All right. So, I will here, here's what I want to say. Like, I'm very torn here on this one. This one really like pulled me in a lot of directions before the show, because I wanted to say Slaanesh, right? That's what I wanted to say, because it's garbage right now. It's utter, total garbage. The worst of the worst. It is, Drek.
Audience, you don't know how much time Vince and I have put in to trying to craft and to crack the nut that is the Slaanesh list. Like, we have put in so much time. So much of our Holy Havoc drive to Chicago was talking about, well, what about this? No. That
would still suck.
Yeah, that'd still be terrible.
Speaking mono Slaanesh here, not just cheating and like bringing in Archaon and stuff like that, and then having like a couple of units of that running.
Whoa! He's marked Slaanesh.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and that's hey, Brad, that was my
Slaanesh Varangard.
Yeah, yeah. My solution was like Archaon, and then have like a bunch of double pile-in like heroes, and yeah. But the problem is
it's not really Slaanesh. That's like saying you can make Clan Molder good by just using a lot of storm feeds. No, I understand they have that keyword, but that's not where they actually belong. Like, that's you can't just rely on the 2 units that don't actually belong, that are actually good to make the whole.
That's pretty much how I rate all my army lists. Rely on 2 units,
which I'm fine with in general. I'm just saying they're not bringing up the quality of the overall Slaanesh faction. That's just a commentary on how good Archaon and the Varangard are, which I agree with. All right. So, but they're just garbage. And here's the thing. I think when they come out, I think it'd be a terrible investment. This is what ultimately broke me on this, because I think when they come out, you're going to get basically completely new stuff, other than probably the Daemonettes will stick around, right? But like even
chariots are all gone.
Yeah, I think you're going to get totally new models. New stuff. Everything's going to be that's my suspicion.
Yep.
So I think that actually makes it a terrible investment. So instead, we're going back to the rats, baby, because the rats have got future potential written all over them. All right, Skaven, they've joined up with Chaos. They've got upward mobility written all over them. We're going to get a new clan at some point. By the way, just real quick on the Stormcast, I love how you said we've got 2 chambers they haven't opened, as though that's where that stops. Just by the by. Like, as though once they do those 2, they're not just going to discover a lost chamber, right? Like, okay, stop. So that is truly endless. But it's the same thing with Skaven. We could easily get a new clan, and all that stuff works well. And you've got great. You got at least 2 really solid army builds right now, and anything they add to that army in the future is just gravy. Yep. And it's a huge force, right? So to me, cheap to get into. Almost endless hobby potential because you can convert all over it. Multiple good armies right now. And the chances of something happening with it in the future, I think, are very strong. Because either they're going to get booted out of Chaos, right? Which is going to result in some new thing being released. Probably. Yeah, and then like they'll release a new force to go with that. Or they're going to kill another Chaos God and take his place and move up the ranks or something, right? Like the Horned Rat just doesn't sit around on his heels. Like, he's doing something.
Once you let Skaven in, is there really any way to get rid of them? I don't think so. I think they're there for good.
Which means eventually somebody else is getting the boot. Hopefully not Slaanesh officially, but I'm just saying.
It's totally important.
Watch your back, Corn. We're coming for you. That's all I'm saying. You had your time. That's why we gave you this whole year, so that we can just have the Horned Rat execute you and get rid of you. All right.
Or it could be the Skaven God. Like Pestilence may slip in. Be like, we got this.
They're already sitting at the same end of the table, Pestilence and
it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
They snuck in.
They're already hanging out. They're bros.
Absolutely. All right, so let's finish up here. Final run through, and then we'll call it a night. Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to pick this, your best overall. Okay. What's your just absolute your winner? If you were personally getting a new force, your best overall. And this could be one that you actually have gotten recently. So, Andrea, kick us off.
Orcs is the best.
And we're done.
And
there it is.
So, yeah, my personal bias, and that's what I'm working on now. So, I'm just digging them. They're fun. It's kind of relatively go push it forward and being able to mentally focus on something else. Mm-hmm. They're fun to paint. They're fun to play. It's a little bit crazy, and I'm just digging it. I'm really glad for this change of pace.
I like it. And you are not alone there. Like,
that's my vote. All I got.
The release of the Iron Jaws just triggered this explosion of love for orcs. Like, I have not seen so much orc love in forever. Crazy. It's the Greenskins is back. All right, Brad, what do you got? What's your best overall, buddy?
Honorable mention, Beastclaw Raiders.
Okay.
Final pick, Sylvaneth. They've got the newest Battle Tome, which comes with army-specific spells, army-specific relics, army-specific enchanted items, which take the place of artifacts, which no other army has. They have battalions, and they also have war groves, which build other battalions into them. They're one of the only armies, I think, that do that right now, which each of those war groves that include battalions give you additional artifacts for your army. So I think overall, the design philosophy moving forward will mimic them, and they are right now the best overall designed army. They might not be the most powerful army, which they are a very powerful army, but I think armies are going to start looking like them, not the other way around. So I think best overall going forward, Sylvaneth is a good pick.
I like it.
Like, they're competitive. Like
for sure.
yeah, they show up in the top tier.
The only downside is having to buy and or build forests. Yes. I think I have 6 right now, and I want another 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ran out during the game we played last weekend.
First turn, yeah.
Good God. Did you have like all the summoning spells and artifacts for calling in every forest?
Well, I think they're a very strong and competitive army when you are allowed to choose your spells and artifacts. And when you have to roll randomly, they could be completely inept. So I think my philosophy going forward is where I am allowed to choose spells and artifacts, I will take Sylvaneth. And where I am forced to roll randomly, I don't think I'll bother taking them. Because there's a spell to summon them. There's Tree Lord Ancients that have a 50% chance to summon them, and then there's the Acorn, which is once per game automatic summon.
Yep.
Well, I look forward to seeing your Sylvaneth at Holy Wars.
And Alariel can also use her spell to turn a unit into a forest as well.
Yep. Yeah, if she kills them. I think that might be the only place I would use her as well, because it's 2,500, which I think is kind of where she shines a little more.
Yeah.
2,000. Like my Archeon list last year, such a huge and powerful model at a small points limit can be game winning, but if they go down, that's almost half your army. That's a big chunk. So you have to be able to play well enough to not lose them. And in the games that I've played with her, I've lost her in a single double turn. She doesn't have a chance to heal. She can heal almost a full from pretty much no wounds, but if you get double turned with her, she can very easily die.
Yep. Absolutely. Dom. This is thrilling television.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. Good thing we're on YouTube and people can.
It's thrilling entertainment. Whatever.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Iron Jaws. I mean, I can't choose anything else. I bought them. They're in the mail.
Sure. You legitimately have to pick what you picked.
I have to pick what I picked. And right now, by the way, both the Iron Jaws Battle Tome and the Iron Jaws How to Paint is at 30% off on War Store, just by default. They're clearing some of that out. And so, like, on top of all the other good deals, you can pick up those books, the supporting material for 30% at 30% retail. So, like, it's just too good of a deal. You have a competitive force. It's going to be a fairly low model count force, all things considered. You'll be able to just push it across the table and have fun. It's high mobility because of the destruction. Like, these both the battle, like, I don't know. It's good.
That extra D6 in the hero phase ain't no joke. And if it's D6 plus 2, it's
and they have a battalion that's going to do that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I mean, yeah, it's doing what you need to do with that type of force.
I hate to double pick what somebody else said, but I got to back the Sylvaneth as well. That's my choice. Yep. Like, it's like, I know we're all green. today. That's what it is. Either green trees or green orcs. That's all it is. Like green is the color for Christmas. So these guys are green and blood is red. So Christmas is fulfilled. There we go. That's how we get it.
Red ones go faster.
Yes, exactly. Red makes it go faster. So, like the Sylvaneth, I agree for everything you said, Brad. Like they've been fun to play. I've gotten a couple games in with them now. I really like them. Like most of the models, I've even enjoyed. Like the weird utility of units you initially read and maybe don't look good right away. Like Tree Revenants, when I first read them, I wasn't incredibly enamored with them. Playing with them in 2 games, I've become incredibly enamored with them for their ability to just like warp around the board like lunatics and assassinate war machines and stuff.
Like objectives.
Yep, exactly. Like that has become incredibly valuable. So like the army has a lot of layers to it. Like that's what you kind of unwrap it. There's a little onion, you peel it back and you realize all the different ways you can play it. And the first time you run like a dryad screen where you've got a big pack of dryads and one of them is just like he's got his hand out kind of touching a woods, and then the rest of them are like off in this weird chafe line to get in the way of something, to block off charges and stuff. Like, yeah, it's good stuff. And those hunters. Oh, those hunters. They are good. All right. So and they're fun to model. And I agree with everything you said on the book. There's so much good stuff in that book. Like so much good stuff in that book. It's ridiculous. Yeah, there you go. But of course, what we want to know is, what do you hope Santa brings you? So put it down in the comments below. Tell us about it. Tell us what you want to see. Do you agree with the choices we've made? If not, tell us why we're wrong. If you do, you can tell us why we're right too. That's okay. I like that. That's fine.
I could use another Stonehorn.
There you go. Absolutely. So, I mean,
don't shake your head.
Oh, so hard shaking my head.
Is there ever enough Stonehorns? I don't.
Yes, there is. Yes. Yes.
Depends what side of the table you're on.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, I'm trying to contemplate whether I need to go up to 8 tree men. So, I mean, you know, it's you gotta decide where you stop. So it's important. I'm at 5 now. Might go to 8. You never know. Never know when you're gonna play that 5,000 point game or 10,000 point game. You gotta be ready. It's important to be prepared for all scenarios. All right. So, Andrea, Brad, always a pleasure. Andrea, any final thoughts here as we close out with our Christmas spectacular here of gift giving?
Ooh, I don't know. Hopefully everybody's been good so they get the stuff that they want. If not, I don't know what the hobby equivalent of coal would be.
The hobby equivalent of coal is getting high elves in your stocking. Everybody.
I was going to say free people.
No.
It's the devoted of Sigmar. If you wake up and there's like war altars and flagellants under your tree, you're like, oh, I was bad this year. Darn. Yep. Brad, any final thoughts, sir?
I don't think Santa Claus brings Blood Bowl wins, so get practicing.
There you go.
God, I can't even right now.
Tom, any final thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah, we live in a fantastic time. I just want to say that. Like, of gaming, of GW, like, there's multiple armies out that are just beautiful, that are available at great deals right now. I was highly skeptical of the lineup that GW provided us for these battle forces, because I was frustrated that I didn't get to see some other armies in there. But that said, like, when I look at that, like, none of us mentioned the Bloodbound. Let me point that out on any of our discussions.
Nope.
But the other 3, the Stormcast, the Sylvaneth, and the Iron Jaws all showed up in one of these other lists that we named.
The aforementioned Facehammer podcast I was talking about mentioned that kit is by far the best value money-wise out of
the Bloodbound.
Yes, the Bloodbound. So it is definitely worth getting if you're interested in Chaos and Bloodbound. Even if it wasn't on any of our lists.
It's a good point. Dollar-wise, it's a good deal. I think points-wise, the Sylvaneth can be built to be the highest, right? I think that's true.
Yeah. That's 700 to 800 points in 2 models.
Right, exactly, because of Drycha and because of the Spirit of Durthu. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, what I will say is I agree. I hope you've been good this year and Santa brings you lots of fun models under your tree that you'll spend, hopefully, the beginning of the next year painting, or maybe you'll have them all done by New Year's. Maybe you'll go for the Brad tactic and the whole army, 20 hours, you're good to go. There it is. That's some hardcore tournament prep, Brad. Let me say that.
Hey, if you can still get 25 out of 25 points painting it that fast, more power to you.
There you go. That's
I can, so. I paint to hit check boxes, not to get votes.
There you go. That's a
Valid tactic.
Absolutely. If it's like if they tell you these are the boxes you got to hit those boxes. That's what it matters. Absolutely. In that situation. All right. So everybody, thank you very much for watching. As always, Brad, Andrea, absolute pleasure. As always, cannot wait to see you both at Adepticon. And that's going to be a rockin' good time. I am absolutely sure. I hope to see everybody else there as well. Go sign up if you haven't already. It's going to be an amazing year at Adepticon this year. And for all of you, as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.
See you.
See ya.